Thursday.
Well, I was not impressed with that letter. I tend to have lists.
I'm not.
Yes,
And
yes,
we'll
I've got it.
forward it to, let's see.
No, that's
Thank you.
I got that.
There, I'll send it to you.
Thank you. I will look for it.
Got
Yes,
it,
he
Dana,
called
thank
me.
you.
He took his wife to the doctor, and they think they found a
Shorten
blood
it up a few minutes.
clot, taking her to Paris, and he doesn't think he'll make it in time, but he might. He said if he could get here before 7, he would come. But he may not.
I guess I'm just.
That'd be fine. Well, I ain't got, well, I can set my people in the major. I filled it out. I don't need to set it 65.
Pretty much the same.
All rise. Benton County Commission is now in session. Roseanne Ward, Chair.
Commissioner Norman Frazier will give the invocation tonight.
Now, women, please. Thank you, Heavenly Father, to gather at the county to do this business, Lord. Lord, I ask that you be with our citizens, I ask that you be with our mayor in his travels, I ask that you be with each commissioner to do your will tonight. These things I ask in your son's precious name. Amen.
Amen.
Commissioner Gary Furr, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Roll call, please, Ms. Clerk.
We have one absent, Ronnie Hopper. We have a quorum.
We do have a quorum. Next on the agenda is the appointment of the interim mayor. At this time, I'm going to open the floor for nominations. If you are present and you are interested, you can come forth yourself and state your name and introduce yourself. But as of now, the floor is open. Commissioner Plant?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Mr. Paul Summers.
Okay. Commissioner Hill?
I would like to nominate Dr. Randy Shannon.
Okay. Do we have any other nominations?
I would nominate you.
Thank you, Dana, but I respectfully decline. And I would just like to say that I appreciate all the commissioners that all this time has supported me and stood behind me, but I think it was the best interest of me to not take this position or even accept the nomination. So thank you. Any others?
Motion to, hey, stop it, whatever.
Okay, open to cease nominations. Okay, we have a motion by Dana Ferguson to cease nominations. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Okay, we have a second. All in favor, vote on your tablet, yes?
What are we voting for?
To cease nominations.
Okay. Just wanted to make certain.
Did we give anybody time to come up, or is that next, that, from the public?
Okay. Okay, we have 17 yes to cease the nominations. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is try to announce how this vote will go so that everybody knows before we start how it's going to take place, so that nobody says later that the process of the vote was changed. So we're going, when we start our vote, we will vote, and if we do not get a majority vote, if a person does not get the majority vote, we will vote again. And after the second round, if we do not have a majority vote, we're going to take a 10-minute recess and just regroup, and then we're going to come back and we're going to vote again. If we vote 4 times and we do not have a person with majority votes, then I will open the floor to let the commission make a recommendation if they want to continue on with voting or if they want to postpone it. So we'll decide that if we get that far or not. So now, we would like the 2 nominees.
Question, Chairman.
Yes.
I understand you're going to allow the commission to ask each candidate a question. I have just a short statement that I want to make. When would be the proper time to do that?
I would think that when I invite each person to come up and introduce themselves, then the floor will be open for you to ask questions.
And to make a statement that's not actually a question, would that be the proper time too?
Yes.
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, so at this time, we have 2 nominations, Dr. Shannon and Judge Summers. Would you gentlemen please come forward? Okay, we'll start with Mr. Shannon. According to the your last name, you have the floor to introduce yourself.
My name is Randy Shannon. I am been a lifelong citizen of Benton County. I would very much like to serve in this capacity as interim mayor for the duration of time which Mayor Lashley shall be gone. I look forward to working with each and every one of you and would happily entertain any and all questions that you may have.
Okay, the floor is now open if anyone would like to ask Mr. Shannon a question. Okay, Commissioner King?
As an attorney, how would you work with the county attorney?
Well, I would like to say that we're going to work very well together. As long as we're not on opposite sides of the table, I've always found that attorneys are great people to work with each other because they understand the complexities of law and the value of multiple people looking at it. And I've always been one to believe that 2 heads are better than 1, and that's always a good course to take, to get counsel.
Okay. Next, and follow on to that is, how will you work with the commission?
I'm going to work with you very well. Whether I'm successfully appointed, it doesn't matter to me if you voted for me or voted against me. I'm going to work with you to move this county forward in the best possible way. And I think that is going to start with a conversation between myself and each of you so that we see where you think the county needs to be going as representatives of its people and to plot out a plan for the duration of my time here to move that forward.
Okay. That's all I got.
Okay. Any other questions for Dr. Shannon? Commissioner Hill?
Yes, I have a question that I would like both candidates to answer. We have several really important infrastructure projects that Mayor Lashley has championed, and I cannot support anyone who will derail those projects. I do know we have an oversight committee that's helping to prioritize which projects get done first, but the projects, the senior center, the water and sewer projects, our county has got to have those to grow, and to go backwards on those projects I think would be very detrimental. So I'd like to ask each of you if you intend to see those projects through during the time you're interim mayor.
I very much am in favor of moving this county forward with infrastructure development. I'd like to see it also accompanied by industrial and commercial development. And as long as we have within the confines of the budgetary allotment that we can move forward and do a good piece of construction, not just throw something up and not just put it up just to say we've done it, but as long as we can put something up that will stand the test of time and be something the county can be proud of, I'm absolutely in favor of that. But if we're just going to throw up a lean-to and call it, the Taj Mahal, I don't think that's a good use of county money.
I concur with those comments by Dr. Shannon. But I would also like to point out that we don't know how long Sergeant First Class Lashley is going to be on active duty. We don't know whether he's going to be on active duty for 11 months or 11 weeks. That's going to be up to the Army. So it's not feasible to know how long this temporary interim appointment would last. And so it's really impossible to determine whether or not you're going to be going for the future, the midterm, or the long term, or just the short term. The most important part of this process tonight is to appoint an interim mayor after having had 5 months to deliberate on it and nothing has been done. The mayor basically told everybody, including me, about 6 months ago that he probably would be deployed. We don't know for how long, but please make a decision tonight, because we've got too many issues going forward not to have a chief executive officer. Bottom line is, the answer is yes, we support what he's been doing. We have no idea how long it's going to be, how long his temporary appointment is going to be. We're not talking about electing somebody for 4 years. We're talking about electing somebody for something like 11 months, or under Title 10, Colonel, maybe less.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Dr. Shannon right now? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Randy, I received your letter dated July 8th. Thank you. It was a good read. I enjoyed it. Very well written. The fourth paragraph, you're discussing a tract of land that, with an option to buy. There was something about a loan and interest mentioned in it. And I overheard 5 commissioners after the insurance committee meeting, and they were talking about this tract of land and discussing it. Has your knowledge changed any since writing this paragraph? Have you learned any more about this subject?
No, I have not.
My understanding, and I'm not an expert on this subject, but my understanding is TVA went to the county mayor and asked him to see 500 acres on the railroad. And this is on the railroad, it's across from the racetrack. TVA has an interest in helping develop this into an industrial site. This rail, it goes through Benton County, is a direct line to the mega site located in Memphis, Tennessee. I think that Memphis, $174 million today in the Memphis Regional Mega Site, 4,100 acres. That's 103.5 miles from Benton County. Now, please, if I'm wrong, anybody correct me. There's not a loan on the 500 acres with an option to buy. The industrial board is paying $3,500 a year to have the first option to buy is put up for sale. And so I just wanted, I was concerned because I heard a lot of commissioners were confused on it, and I mean.
Well, perhaps I was confused as well, but that was what I understood, is that we purchased an option to buy and to develop it, and that's what I was referring to.
And I'm glad we're having this conversation. Now you have the floor, and thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for Dr. Shannon? Commissioner Plant?
I have a statement.
Yes, Mr. Randall, what is your objection on the first, or what's on your agenda you hope to do for the office of the mayor? I mean, are you going to try to fulfill what the mayor has started, or are you interested in other part of doing something else different? What is your objective that you think you're going to be doing?
Well, that's a broad sweeping statement. I will say this, that I am absolutely in favor of what is in the best interest of Benton County in all things. And I'm in the best interest of whatever is working with each and every one of you, as you are the representatives of the people of this county for the duration, whether it be 11 days or 11 months or whatever the time frame may be, to work and move this county forward. So in me, you're going to have somebody that is willing to have an open mind, approach things with a different perspective, and to move forward. I will tell you that in everything that I do, I will give Mayor Lashley weekly updates via email. He can be as informed as he wants to be. All those communications will be put in your monthly packets. Any communication that he has with me about his agenda, his desires, his wishes, his wants, whatever. If he wants to tell you how things are going in his deployment, that will also be available to you. There will be 100% complete transparency as for the duration if I'm appointed as information.
Do you feel good with the projects you've got coming? I mean, you're fulfilling the projects that we have grants for and whatnot?
As I said, I'm very much in favor of infrastructure and moving these projects forward. What I am not in favor of is going into a project that we may not have fully funded or may not have a potential for doing the way it should be done. Because we've seen buildings put up over the years that perhaps were a little bit underbuilt as opposed to being built for the test of time. And so as long as we're building things for grandchildren and great-grandchildren so that they can look over and say that they're proud and it's a good use of tax money, I'm all for it. Because the more accoutrement we have, if that's the appropriate word, the better that we can be to attract commerce and industry, which is going to be our lifeblood. And without commerce and industry, it won't matter what we build unless they're coming. So maybe if we build it, they will come, but we need to build it well. And I think you would agree with that as well. Thank you.
Any other questions for Dr. Shannon? Commissioner Preston, did you say you wanted to make a statement?
I do, and when it's the appropriate time.
Okay, is it directly to Dr. Shannon or to both candidates?
Just to the commissioners.
Okay. Why don't we wait until we have heard from Mr. Summers, okay, and then you can make your
I
statement.
think that's an appropriate decision. Thank you, Chairman.
You're welcome. Okay, if there's no more questions for Dr. Shannon, then Judge Summers, if you don't mind me calling you that, you've always been considered judge to me. Okay.
Madam Chair and Pro Tem, Commissioners, and Madam Clerk, Sheriff, County Attorney, and more importantly, to the folks in Benton County, to the media. The reason that I'm here is because Sergeant First Class Brett Lashley got orders about 6 months ago, or notice about 6 months ago, that he was going to be activated pursuant to Title 10 of the United States Code. He asked me about the last part of January, could he see me? I told him that's fine. My wife Kim and I live on the southeast corner of Benton County, as far southeast as you can get in the Morgan Creek area. I've been a resident of Benton County for about 20 years. I bought that home in May of 2001. Kim and I live down there, and when you look off the back porch, you can see about 7 miles of the Tennessee River, and in the wintertime, you can see 4 counties. When Brett Lashley came to see me, he said, I know your background. I'm very familiar with you. He said, with all due respect, and my mother always taught me, don't brag, but my daddy always said, if you're telling the truth, you're not bragging. But he told me, Mayor Lashley, he said, you are the most qualified person to be the interim temporary mayor in Benton County, the most qualified resident of Benton County. And I said, why are you even talking to me about that? And he said, because I'm asking, would you have any interest in doing that? I said, Brett, I'm fortunate. I don't have to work. I'm not looking for a job. but I'm only interested in the best interest of my adopted home county. That's Benton County. And y'all know me. I've been on the audit committee. I'm chairman of the audit committee for the last 3 years. I don't care anything about doing the right thing, following the law, and telling the comptroller that we've rectified findings. But the point is, he asked me, would you do it? Would you consider it? I said, Mayor, I would consider an interim temporary appointment while you're on active duty on 2 conditions. First condition, that you make sure that the county commission, an overwhelming majority of the county commission supports me and allows me to do the job. The second is that the county commission agrees to follow the law. I said, otherwise, I'm not interested at all. Well, he convinced me that they would do that. The only problem is, in the last 5 months or more, this has become a political football. There has been gamesmanship going on. There's been all kind of personal issues, personal attacks. There's been all kind of issues going on that have nothing to do with making the decision of appointing an interim. It may last 11 months, it may last 11 weeks, who knows? That's up to the Army. The commissioner, the Colonel King, he's been there, he knows what I'm talking about. He's been activated before, he's been deployed before. Now, the reason that Brett Lashley came to see me is not because I spent 29.25 years with the state government, among which I was the state attorney general, running what I call the 4th branch of government, because we represented all 3 branches of government. But he also knew, too, that I understood the predicament that he was in, because I'd been there. I served, after my 4 years active duty in the Air Force, as a JAG officer, a judge advocate. I had an inter-service transfer to the Army National Guard, and then I served for 26 years. I remember the 278. I helped deploy them one time. The National Guard and the reserves are over 54% of our total fighting force in the Army operational forces in America. And right now, what we've been doing for the last 5 months is not supporting Sergeant First Class Lashley, but bickering around and arguing about political advantage and gamesmanship and things of this nature. And I'm here to tell you, we're majoring in the minors and minoring in the majors. You haven't passed a budget for fiscal year 2022. When you ask me, what's the most important things you're going to do? The first most important thing is to pass a budget, a balanced budget. Because that's the most important thing that the legislative body does for any government, whether it's a subdivision of the state or the state. Please pass a budget. And second off, set a tax rate so that Sherry Beach can decide what the tax rate's going to be. She said she's had the printers down there for weeks waiting. Support your troops. Support your troops. Support Sergeant First Class Lashley. This is a temporary appointment. When he comes back, when he gets off of active duty, he'll come back and he'll stand in that desk and he'll say, I'm back. And this temporary appointment that you're going to vote on tonight, it vanishes. Now, the bottom line is this. Oh, there was actually a third category, too. I take this job. I will take this. I will accept this job. I'm not politicking for this job. Never have. Don't need to. I've done all that. District attorney, Court of Criminal Appeals statewide, attorney. I've done all that politicking stuff. And I understand politics from the high level. And I also understand local internecine politics. And that's what we got going here. So all I ask you, besides those other 2 conditions, follow the advice of your county attorney. You hire a lawyer not to entertain you, but to represent you. hire him, let him do his job, let him make decisions, and then you'll know he is not a potted plant. That's my initial remarks. I hope that you understand.
Anyone
And
have,
I'll be glad to answer any
Yeah.
question you want me to answer.
anyone have any questions for Judge Summers?
Yes, I do. Judge Summers, one, I don't know what politicking you're talking about. I've not heard any. I've heard discussion over who we might choose for an interim mayor, but none of what you have insinuated has been in my presence whatsoever. You sent a letter to the county commission basically chiding them over several things. One, yes, there was some confusion that we got from CTAS over the proper procedure when Mayor Lashley leaves. Perhaps it was on us to dig a lot deeper down to that little paragraph that made a mention that military service was handled differently. We did not. Passing a balanced budget. You have chided them over avoiding a fiscal train wreck. Passing a budget quickly is not always the best option. Making sure it is correct and balanced is actually better than being quick. And whoever we choose for interim mayor has nothing to do with supporting Brett Lashley in the military. That'll be a decision for the county commission. So, you know, I just have to disagree with your viewpoints on a few things.
Well, I would have to respectfully disagree with you.
Okay.
In 2000.
Judge Summers, may I interrupt? We won't allow anybody speaking out from the audience. Please hold your comments and let Mr. Summers speak or Dr. Shannon when they speak. Please, if you raise your voice again and we can hear you up here, we
The
may ask you to
most
leave.
important duty of a legislative body is to set policies, to fund those policies, and to pass a balanced budget.
Yes, sir.
A county is required, pursuant to the Tennessee Code Annotated and the Tennessee Constitution, to have a balanced budget by July 1. Now, the state has an absolute draconian deadline of July 1. The legislature, in its wisdom, has given a little leeway for the counties. They give 2 months leeway for the counties to pass a balanced budget. There is no excuse for not passing a balanced budget way before July 1. No excuse for that. But, matter of fact, back in the later years, back in between 2014 and 2018, they passed the budget every year, way before July 1. Now, if this county hasn't passed a budget by the end of August, it will be a fiscal train wreck.
Yes, sir, it will.
It will be a fiscal, you'll not be able to write a check even if you got money in the bank. Now, as I said, follow the advice of your lawyers, follow the advice of the Attorney General. With all due respect, the chastisement I gave that to members of the committees here, but I gave that in my capacity as chairman of an audit committee for which I have a responsibility to do. That is that you follow the laws and you weren't following them, and I brought it to your attention. I did it in my official capacity. I wasn't politics for a job.
No, sir, I didn't imply that.
Other questions?
Mr. Summers, have you got any,
Yeah, go ahead.
do you have any agenda of any such, things that you would love to see? Some saying that you're gonna come in and do something in which let's jump that across the side.
Chairman Pro Tem, I don't have a political agenda. I don't have an agenda except running that office. That's my total agenda. That's all I want to do is just run that office. You don't know how long this is going to be. You don't know if it's going to be for, like I say, 11 months or 11 weeks. You don't know. But the point is you've got to have somebody in there, and you've got to have somebody who is qualified, somebody who is bonded, and somebody who takes the oath of office. I could do that all by August the 1st. I'm not jockeying for this job. I will accept the job. But you're not going to get a yes man. You're not going to get a Brett Lashley man. I'm not a Brett Lashley man. I'm not a yes man either. I'm going to do the right thing, man.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Other questions? Yes, sir, Carl.
I would pose the same questions to you about working with the county attorney.
Well, I will work with the county very well. I don't consider him to be a potted plant. I consider him to be someone that you can rely on, and having worked with him personally and considerably in the last several months, he's a good man. I will work with him well. You agree with that, Mr. Johnson?
All right, Judge, I got one more question. When you talk about the commission, how are you going to be, this is my way, or are you going to be, hey, let's work together and get this done?
I'd be the third branch of this government. I would represent the executive branch of this government. These are three separate and equal branches of government at the local level, at the subdivision of county and state government. And I would, I wouldn't do that at all. But I would absolutely insist that everybody follow the law. And I think I understand the law.
Yes, sir. That's all I got.
By the way, I've been a lawyer for 46 years. And I don't practice law much now. I've got a lot of enterprises, a lot of activities, a lot of pro bono, nonprofit work. I also got some for-profit work. But my daddy taught me a long time ago, who's a former judge and a former lawyer. He said, you can't practice a little law. You either got to practice law or not. So I don't practice a little law. Other questions? Anybody? Did you have a question, Mr.?
I was waiting until all the questions closed from the floor to ask just basic eligibility questions for both candidates, but whenever.
Okay. If we have no other questions for them, then the county attorney wants to make sure of 3 questions that he has to ask.
It's just a few questions, my primary questions. And those are, obviously, you both, I'm sure, have all the answers to these already, because it's part of the criteria for being to be in the position. And that's one, are you both currently a registered voter of this county?
Yes.
Yes.
And you're both at least 25 years old?
Yeah, barely.
I want to ask them all, going down my checklist.
Let me just officially answer. I am over 25, although I do get carded.
Good. And you've been a county resident for at least the past 1 year.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And you've never been convicted of a felony?
Nope.
No.
Okay. And then a more general question related to really to more protect the commission and for the criteria. Has anything been offered to any elected official or on behalf or to the benefit of their families in return for support of your appointment for the position of interim temporary mayor?
Absolutely not.
No.
That's all. That was just the basic criteria.
Okay.
Thank you.
Then Commissioner Presson, he said he wanted to make a statement after both candidates had.
Chairman, I'll be making this statement to you and the commissioners present here tonight.
Okay.
The job of an accomplished county mayor requires a person that possesses keen insight, non-biased judgment, and the governmental resources to speak with state and federal officials about Benton County subjects. Benton County tonight has an opportunity to elect a mayor that has worked in the highest of heights in government and is willing to embrace the hard task of leadership with an open heart and a powerful mind. I'll say it again, a powerful mind. Paul's access to political leaders extends not only to our state capital, but to the steps of our nation's capital. Paul is not a limited man, but he's a man of vast resources. He is a man of integrity that is regarded by his professional peers all across our state in the most admirable light, a prominent person and a real shaker and maker, if inclined. Admired and respected in very high places of power. He is not a self-promoter. I'm here speaking to you these words, for he is not one to boast about himself and these achievements that I mentioned. Paul could have filled this room tonight with numerous high-profile state and federal leaders that would speak on his virtues. But that's not what Paul is. That's not what Paul wants to do. Just honest, efficient, educated, governing from a man that has seen more experiences than most of us can even imagine. One need only to look at his resume to realize the importance and the significance of this man Benton County is blessed to have. Paul has no axe to grind. He has no grudge to settle. He has promised nothing to no one for their vote tonight. Let's send our state capitol a message this night, this afternoon. Let's don't be selfish here tonight, everybody. Today, let's be our better self, and let's put Benton County first in front of ourselves. Let's elect Paul Summers. Chairman, I yield the floor.
Thank you. Does any other commissioner wish to make any statements? Okay, it seems as if you don't, so at this time, we're going to vote for the interim mayor.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
we're going to return to our seats, if that's all right.
Oh, yes, that's, I'm sorry.
Thank
Go
both-
ahead.
Thank both of you, men.
When your name is called, please pronounce the full name of the person that you're voting for.
Angie Hearn,
Paul Summers.
Should we, are we first?
Don Patton,
Paul Summers.
Ward Plant,
Paul Summers.
Dana Ferguson,
Dr. Randy Shannon.
Kenneth Miller,
Paul Summers.
Rocky Presson,
Paul Summers.
Clea Dye,
Paul Summers.
Norrin Frazier,
Randy Shannon.
Gary Furr,
Randy Shannon.
Sonny Hall,
Randy Shannon.
Bill Melton,
Randy Shannon.
Dwayne Fowler,
Randy Shannon.
Rochelle Hill,
Dr. Randy Shannon.
Mike Nunnery,
Dr. Randy Shannon.
Daryl Hicks,
Randy Shannon.
Terry King,
Dr. Randy Shannon.
Roseanne Ward.
Dr. Randy Shannon.
Anyone wish to change their vote? I have 11 Randy Shannon and 6 Paul Summers.
Okay? Are y'all okay? Okay. I'd like to say thank you to both candidates that came up here tonight. I think both of you would have been good interim mayors, and I would have worked well with both of y'all. So as from now on until the end of the meeting, we will not be giving Dr. Shannon his oath, because first of all, he has to get a county official's bond, and then after the bond, he will take the oath. So that will not happen tonight. So that is the end of the process of electing an interim mayor for tonight. So we're going to move on to our other business that's on the agenda, which is the citizens forum is next.
Approval of the agenda.
Okay, excuse me, number 2. I need a motion for the approval of the agenda? We're having a motion by Commissioner Dye and a second by Commissioner Frazier. You can now place your vote.
Madam Chair, I have a motion by Ms. Dina Ferguson to amend.
No,
Okay,
I didn't mean to.
no problem.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, now you can vote.
Anyone wish to change their vote? 17 yes.
Okay. Approval of the agenda is passed. Next is the citizens forum. Commissioner Preston, did we have a sheet up there for the citizens? There's no one. Okay, we don't have a sheet for anyone that wanted to sign in to speak. Do we have anyone that would like to come forth and speak to the commission or to the audience? Okay, looks like we don't. So the next is number 4, which is the commissioners forum. Do we have any commissioners that want to speak? Say anything? Okay, Commissioner Hill.
I just want to say, I know that every commissioner here voted in their very best conscience. I don't think anyone placed a vote for any reason that was not wanting to serve the best interest of our county. And I certainly hope that we can all move on now and work together like we're supposed to. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. I was given information that Linda Zanny wanted to speak during the Commissioners Forum. Since we didn't have the paper, I will recognize you, Linda, if you'd like to come forward.
My name is Linda Zanatti, and I see many faces of people that I've worked with and served on different boards with. And I want to thank you for your service that you continue to do each month. It's not generally my nature to have a response to things that I've heard about in the community, and it had to do with questions about the industrial board, actions about having the option to buy the Gerald Smith property. And actually what had come to me was that there was talk of wanting to dissolve the industrial board. Has any of y'all heard any of that, or did that just come a wind to the...
I pray it was the wind.
You heard it in the wind?
No, I pray it was the wind.
Okay.
Because we need it bad. I mean, it's doing a great job.
Okay, thank you. So that had just had come to me, and it's not my nature usually to respond, but I felt since we were kind of starting some new leadership, that I just needed to represent the board. I don't know if there's any other board members, but I've been on the board for over 10 years, and I haven't done it because of the pay. And for you all that know, it's a volunteer position that we serve. And in the last 3 years, or nearly 3 years, I just want to share that I have seen leadership that I haven't seen since I have even been aware of county executive. With a vision and really to moving the county forward. So I just wanted to give you an assurance that the board is actually a full functioning board. We have gone from meeting not even in a year in the time that I've been on the board, not meeting in a year to meeting every month, having a joint board meetings with the planning committee, the county planning committee, and the option to buy the Gerald Smith property is absolutely in the best interest of this county.
I'd like to say something that I could with her joining up what you're saying.
Yes.
You know, a lot of people don't understand how that works. But, you know, we're paying $3,499 a month. That's actually not a month, per year, to retain that. And if somebody does try to buy it, we've got the option to have the first buy.
Absolutely.
And doing this is what created what's great about it. It's become a hands of TVA and Tennessee Industrial Board. They've got that in their hand, and they made the statement. TVA was very excited with it, and the industrial of the state were, because now we have a position, 500 plus acres, right here at home that has rail, it has all the excess of traffic, and now they've got something. We're one of the 9s out of the whole state that even have anything. So now when it goes to this, anything happen, it goes through TVA. They're the first with power, and it has all the power accessible to it. We're one of 9 out of the whole state that has this availability to bring in industry. And we're not talking about $8, $10 jobs. We're talking about people going to start out making in the 40s and the 50s, thousands of dollars when they come here. Without it, I know some says we're wasting money, but it's not. Without it, if they're looking, how do you put them in without having it? So I'm very proud of what y'all doing. And the industrial board is, I've been here working on 8 years, been involved in, but we've got a board that's actually involved that are meeting in meetings, and they're doing a good job. I'll tell you that. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you. So I just wanted to let the commissioners know that the industrial board was voted in by this court in 1961. And unfortunately, all the people that were on the original board have passed, okay? But it was for the development to buy, sell, to acquire what needed to be acquired to move the county forward. And just like Mr. Plant said, this land, there's not a plan to come and ask you to fund this. Okay, it's not. There are going to be grants. There are going to be we're already in the process of that, of getting applications going. So I just wanted to represent the board, not because anybody asked me to, but because we have worked so hard for this county, and you all may not see it, you may not be aware of it, but we've worked very, very hard to move in the direction that we're moving. So I just needed to let you know that. Thank you. Thank you for your
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Okay, while we're on this, is there any other citizen now that would like to say anything? Okay, commissioners? Have any commissioner? Okay, then we're going to move on to number 5 on the agenda. Our county attorney, would you like to say anything? Okay. Then we'll move on to number 5, which is the start of our business tonight, which is the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting.
We have a proclamation. Okay.
I haven't seen one, if we do. Okay. So we are at the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. We have a motion by Commissioner Frazier and a second by Commissioner Ferguson. Any questions? Commissioner King.
Madam Chairman, there are some corrections I would like to propose in the minutes. I will call out the page number and the correction, if that's okay. 3478, spell my main name correctly. And on 3479, same thing. And over on Resolution 05 on page 3491, if you look at the underneath the resolution where it's highlighted and underlined, it said the motion was made by Commissioner Patton and seconded by Commissioner Melton to approve resolution on roll call vote, 6 ayes, 11 nays, 1 abstain, and 3 absent. Okay, if you look at the voting, okay, there was only one absent, and so that needs to be corrected to reflect,
Stand by for us for just a second.
You said what?
if you look on page 3491, Resolution 05,
Uh-huh.
if you look at the motion, okay, it says on a roll call vote, 6 yes, 11 nay, 1 abstain, and 3 absent.
I don't have that. Mine says 6 yes, 11 no, 0 abstain, and 1 absent.
Okay?
Mine reads the same as his.
Mine reads the same as his.
So I got the wrong thing then.
Well,
Wait a minute.
but hold on, it says.
No, because we've got different things. I've got one thing, and there's other people that have what I have, and other people that have what he has.
Yes.
Can we blame it,
Also-
Chairman, can we blame it on Lashley?
Since he's on here with one. Commissioner Hill?
At the top, it says the motion was made by Commissioner Patton, but if you go down to the voting results, a motion's by my name and the second's by Don Patton, so I don't know if that's just,
So, the computer says that on number 05, we have 6 yes, 11 no, 0 abstain, 1 absent. Is that
that's what I
it's supposed to
have.
be?
But at the top where it's typed out, it says motion was made by Commissioner Patton and seconded by Commissioner Melton, but if you look at the screen printout, there's an M by Rochelle Hill and an S by Don Patton, so which one is correct?
The computer printout is the correct one. This would be just a mistype when they're putting the minutes together, but we will fix that.
But then you have part of there. You've got 3 absent,
Yeah.
right?
Picked it up today.
I have 3 absent on mine too.
Can I compare yours to mine? Because, I'm so sorry. But I mean, you can see mine.
David corrected
okay.
all of that because it was wrong, so I'm just wondering if y'all got the wrong copies.
Let's go get that page.
So
Okay, sorry.
it may be that y'all have the wrong
I'm being
copies.
difficult.
But we will fix it and I will get y'all all the right ones, but on the way that was, when she went in there, she did correct everything, but y'all may have all the wrong copies that was not fixed.
Okay, yours says the same thing
So,
mine
but I'll
does.
get it corrected and
looking at it
give it to
here.
y'all.
In the
Did y'all
top,
get
yeah,
these by
see,
email
that's
or
where it's
printed?
wrong. Okay, yeah.
Because we've done them twice, and we had to correct some that was the way it was written.
I don't think we got the correct copy, sorry.
Well, we will see, but I'll get y'all the corrected copies.
Okay, since there's a problem, do we want to make a motion to amend these corrections?
Can we wait till next month and get them and do both at the same time?
The new copies.
That's fine.
Yeah, I say let's wait till next month when we have them.
Postpone, I make a motion to postpone next.
I second that motion.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to postpone. Okay. We need everyone to vote on that.
I don't,
Pressure.
So, taking your table,
it's working.
table the next one. Okay, this is the motion to amend, which is your table. It's the way our system works, but this is for the table. You're tabling this till next month. Postpone, table. Is that the same?
Postpone. No, we're postponing it.
Postpone, okay. We will
But I thought
change
Rochelle
that word
seconded.
from.
I don't
tabling
care
to
who
postpone.
seconded it.
Okay,
It's
just want to
fine.
make certain.
Yeah, we did have a motion and a second, so.
Now,
Okay.
Do you withdraw your motion?
no, I don't care who did it. That's fine. Doesn't faze me one way or the other.
So what you're voting on is for the postponing of this till next month.
Yes, we're postponing it to next month.
Anybody wish to change their vote?
Don't vote, don't vote. Okay. Madam Chair, you can, Rebecca, you told me that was,
Yeah, that's the next, okay. Now we're gonna move on. Maybe we can move on a little faster now. Number 6 on the agenda is the report of the public utilities. We have a motion by Commissioner Ferguson and a second by Commissioner Dodd. Any questions? You may vote now.
Rocky?
I'm trying to vote yes.
Okay, it's not letting us.
Yeah.
You vote yes, you said?
It says, shut down, battery empty.
Okay, we'll do a voice vote for you. So
Okay.
you say yes?
Yes.
Rocky, it always happens, you see black.
Rocky, yes. Does anyone wish to change their vote? Motion carries.
Rocky, do you want to charge your tablet, or do you want to
No,
continue?
I'll just do
Voice
it
vote?
old fashioned.
Okay, because I have a charger here if you need it.
I've got it on a charger right now.
Okay. Okay, let's move on. Number 7 on the agenda is the approval of the annual renewal for the Benton County Girls Softball Lease. We have a motion by Commissioner Frazier and a second by Commissioner Patton. Any questions about that? Commissioner King?
Madam Chairman, I talked to the county attorney, and he wasn't involved in this. And I would like for him to be involved in it before we approve contract, or at least, to make sure that our interests are covered.
Do we have anyone here from the softball association league out there? We don't.
Karen was gonna be here, and she had to leave before 7.
She was here, but she left. Okay.
This lease is an annual renewal. Our interests are plenty covered by this lease.
Right.
We maintain the grounds, and the girls softball board pretty much takes care of everything else out there.
I understand that, but we're entering into a year lease that our county attorney didn't even look at, or wasn't involved in.
I think because this lease has been ongoing and renewed year after year for an awfully long time.
Okay. We have someone from the softball association.
Yeah, I'm new. It's in transition of me coming aboard and Karen stepping down. She said that if y'all had any issues, that she'd be happy I could call her, because she had to step away. I'm new to all this. I'm not too sure exactly what it entails, to be honest.
It's what we've done.
Okay.
I know the interest committee's checked the insurance with them, and I've been part of it from early on myself, sir. And I vetted it pretty good, so, I mean, not that I'm an attorney, but.
And I'm not fussing, I'm just saying this is the way we've always done it. Is it the way we should do it?
It was drafted by our last previous county attorney, Bill Hollis.
Commissioner Hill, you're recognized.
Yeah, if it's not broke, don't fix it. This has always worked very well. This group always reports to the property committee, and the committee is kept well informed of what they're doing out there anytime there have been questions. Now, it wouldn't hurt to have our county attorney look at it before next year's lease renewal. I just don't see any reason to postpone this as it's never, ever had an issue that I'm even aware of.
I'm not saying there's an issue, I'm saying our liability, we need to make sure Benton County's covered. Even though we've done it this way for years, is it the way that we need to do it? Is it okay? That's what I'm asking, you know? I'm all about them doing it, I just want to make sure the lease is right.
Okay, what we need to do is, Commissioner King, if you would like to make that in form of a motion, you may. If not,
I do.
then we're
Make
gonna
a
move
motion to table it to next month's meeting, let our county attorney review it to make sure that all bases are covered.
I second.
Who made the second? Who made the second? Okay, Commissioner Plant. This is another postponement.
Mr. Terry, would you type or press the button on there for making a motion?
All I have is amend and request to speak.
Amend. Mr. Plant, will you second that amendment?
Fall softball sign-ups start in August, so the lease is.
Did you press the button?
Yes.
Have you seen the packet?
Yes.
Is it in the packet? Did you have a problem?
I didn't want to vote on it. But what I was going to say is, if you want to, because I think the league is about to start in August, if the commission wants to, so we don't miss the deadline of the start of the season, having this in place like they're going to do, make it subject to my review. If it checks out with me, then it's urgent, so that I'll look at it when the league starts. That'll help me.
I'll withdraw my motion.
I'll make it subject to my review.
Okay.
Make a motion.
He's withdrawn his motion to postpone now.
And then the second has to be removed.
Okay, we did have a second on the floor to postpone this, so we need to take a roll call vote first if we want to postpone it. Then we can come back and vote on it. Okay, so we're going to vote first on if you want to postpone this or not. That's what you're going to be voting for, yes or no to postpone. Yes. Okay, you can vote now.
We're voting for what now? To postpone it?
To postpone it.
Too quick?
You thought we were voting today.
Mr. President.
Rocky Preston.
My vote would be a no.
Rocky Preston, no. Would anybody else wish to change their vote?
Okay, that motion failed. So we're going to go back, and now I think we will need an amendment that we will pass this, like the attorney said, subject to his approval. Will someone make that motion?
Okay, you're making a motion, Mr. King?
No, that's all.
Yeah, I tried, but I think Commissioner Frazier beat me to it.
No, it says,
No motion right now.
it says a new motion has been issued by King. Is that a mistake or is that what you want?
Look at the board.
Yeah, don't look at that. We're talking about what's here. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
I'm
Okay.
with you.
So now we need a second for this motion. And what is the motion on?
The motion is on the lease to approve it after it goes through the county attorney so that it can be put in place if everything is good.
Okay. Do we have a second for that?
Yes, this is a motion to.
We have a second by Commissioner Hill. Did you second that?
No, I'm not seconding it. I have a question.
Okay. Okay. Commissioner Melton made that second.
I have a question.
Okay.
My question is, if this motion fails, does that mean the lease is not approved?
That's what I was going to actually ask you to say.
I don't agree with
The
No.
commission
Not really.
approves the lease subject to my
It's subject to the county attorney's
The commission
approval.
approves it subject to my approval.
Right, but do we have the option to approve it
As
without
As
that,
is.
as is?
As is.
Yeah, y'all can.
Now,
I mean, if we vote no, does that mean the motion fully fails and the lease will not be approved at all?
no, then if we vote no, then that means we go back to the original.
As is. Thank you,
is.
that's what I needed to know. Thank you, Dana.
Yes.
Did you get that? Okay, so we're ready.
This is a
To
motion.
appoint
Okay.
attorneys.
Ready for the vote.
Okay. Everyone can vote. Now place your vote.
Rocky,
No.
Rocky Preston, no. Ward. Anyone wish to change their vote? Motion fails. 14 no, 3 yes, 1 absent.
Okay, now we're back at the original. To approve the annual renewal for the Benton County Girls Softball lease. We have is this the new motion? Okay, this by Commissioner Frazier and a second by Commissioner Patton. Any questions? Okay. Place your votes, please.
Rocky,
Yes.
Rocky Preston, yes. Anyone wish to change their vote? Motion passes 17 yes.
Play ball.
That went around the world for nothing, though.
I commend what he's saying, and I respect what his question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. That's what I want to see myself.
But we
Okay.
could have discussed it in the committee meetings rather than waiting till the night of the floor.
Okay. We'll move on to number 9 on your agenda. Is a resolution budgeting funds in the amount, it's number 8. A resolution to adopt the Benton County Regional 10-Year Parks and Recreation Master Plan. We have a motion by Commissioner Patton and a second by Commissioner Dyke. Okay, we have people here. We have the Mayor Pafford from the city. We also have Laura Page and Maddie Cushman to come up and present this to us. Okay. Mayor Pafford wants to go first.
Hi, how's everybody?
Surviving.
Surviving. This 10-year plan has been, our Monday night meeting, we were planning on adopting this plan, but we didn't have this in hand, the 10-year plan, the master plan at the time. So we had to call a special call meeting for the 26th of this month to adopt this. Of course, it's with y'all now. Y'all know about it. I don't know if I can answer anything for the Parks and Rec, that part, but I don't want it to be confused with a proposal that I've got for next month on a park director board and a joint county and city meeting venture. So that doesn't have nothing to do with this park and recreation master plan. They have asked the city and the county to adopt this, and it has to be adopted by August 3rd. If we don't adopt it, odds are we're not going to get a grant for it. So not only make everybody look bad, it makes the city look bad too, because we gave the county our permission to use this grant. And if you bring this before your Parks and Recreation Board, and then we turn it down, then they're going to frown on us. And you don't really mess with these people, because if you don't get the grant, if they offer you a grant and you don't accept it, they don't forget it. So next month, I'll have a proposal for the Parks and Recreation Director that we can look at and talk about anything on this master plan and the application. Ms. Maddie and Ms. Laura Lee can answer it. So that's all I've got. I'll be getting this to y'all next month to look at. It's just a draft right now as far as hiring a director and having a park board in a joint meeting. So I'll turn that over to them and let you ask any questions of them
Well, wait a
about the
minute.
application.
Mayor Pafford, does anyone have any questions for Mayor Pafford right now?
I do.
Okay,
Patrick,
what-
what's the city's cost in this plan?
$6,000.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Commissioner Ferguson, you had requested to speak.
Yes. How many of you have gotten this to look at?
Just the other day.
I know. I feel that we haven't had a chance to go through here and look at this. We're being rushed to come up with, anybody have any idea exactly how much money we're talking
Almost
about?
$6 million. In
I
that
don't know
plan.
about you, but I don't have enough information to say I agree with anything.
Well, I mean, I'll say the same thing. I got this last week too, and it's 85 pages long, so, you know, I understand that you hadn't read it, but we're gonna have to do something before August 1st, one way or the other, so if you wanna, if y'all wanna put, or maybe go to a special call meeting or something to do it, or before you got a chance to look it over, do what you wanna do, but,
Okay, Commissioner Fowler.
Yeah, you know, I talked to you earlier about that, about the employee status and how many employees we're going to have to hire for that. And,
yeah, that's completely different than this.
It is.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, completely different.
But I noticed on page 57 also, it talks about increasing the staff for the maintenance. If y'all want to look at it, if you had it, there's going to be some additional costs for the county.
That's true. That is true.
And of course, we, the county, will be paying, y'all, it's a 50/50 grant, so we're going to give their part, $475,000 maybe.
Right.
We got to pay that part. So that's up to $2 million for $1 million. And, anyway, that's, you know, there's just going to take some more maintenance here, and I don't know if it's, you know, there's a lot of reading here, just like Mr.
There is.
said.
There's quite a bit.
Commissioner Hill?
Yes, I have a question. If this were to pass this evening, the plan that was given for us to review with little, how much room is there for changing some of the, are we committed to it exactly as it's written, or is there room to modify and change components of it?
I'd say there's, Laura Lee, you want to answer that?
Well, I'll get into that more, but yes, we
Yes,
can continue evolving.
Let them answer for that.
Okay.
Because they're going to be more into it than I will.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Plant?
Yes, I spent quite a bit of time trying to read through it. It is somebody put a lot of effort in this, putting this together. And this is over what? It's about for 10 years or the?
Yeah, it's a 10-year
It's a 10-year
plan.
plan.
It's a 10-year plan.
And about the only way you get grants is doing this, what we're doing over there,
right.
putting in now. If you get through
That's
it,
what
you
they're
may
asking.
obsolete some things as it goes, but to get this grant, which is it's hard to do. I can tell you that, they have put a lot of hard work in this. And it's a future
Who
plan.
is they?
Well, the park committee, the park board, Mrs., from,
Miss Laura Lee
Miss Patty,
put in
Miss Beck.
all that work. Right.
You look at it, I mean, it's a 10-year expenditure term going with, somebody spent a lot of time coming up with these plans. And I'm sure Mr. Patrick's been involved in part of it. And the mayor's been involved probably prior, I don't know that. But look at it, it was emailed to me, and that's what I was going through the day, looking at each plan. I'm aware it's a lot, but I'm sure it's a good thing to got to develop. That's the only way you develop.
Commissioner Frazier?
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
you indicated briefly about possibly some other funding that we borrowed. Is that the capital outlay project that we have down here across from the country in Western? Did I pick up on you saying we borrowed some of your money for that project?
That was, no, you didn't borrow money. We granted you the application. We granted you
Yeah, off of what program?
local parks and recreation.
Okay, that's what I was, okay.
So that's this one right here from the city.
That's what they wanted. Yeah. No, that's for city and the county.
It's a city and county combination.
Is that separate from, are there two things that we're doing for city and county? Or is there just one?
one for the city and one for the county.
Yeah, each one of them has to adopt it.
The capital outlay project's what I want to get handled
Yeah, that's
first.
what I'm trying to figure out.
The money for the capital outlay project is still in play separately from this, correct?
I think you're correct, Norman.
My understanding is you already have the money. I mean, that's.
I know there's no
And you may not,
application
but what I'm
process.
saying is, we give you permission, the county, to use our grant, to apply for our grant, application for our grant, which that's what's been done.
You know, we're picking up.
And now,
Their cost.
The $6,000.
And I'm fine with
Except
that.
for the
That's-
$6,000.
Two separate things is all I'm asking.
Doctor, how many personnel, additional personnel?
I don't know for the 5-year plan, or the 10-year plan, I don't know about that.
What about your thing you're talking about?
Mine calls for 3 people from the city and 2 from the county. That's all. Be a 5-man crew. It would be over the city park and the county park. It'd be a joint venture with the city and the county to take over the parks, have your director, have your board. We'll have there'll be 2 board members from the county on the Parks and Recreation Board, and there'll be 2 board members from the city. And then the parks director will be the chairman over the board.
And they would be over what?
They would be over our park and y'all's park.
Would that include employees of the park? Would they be over the employees of the park, or would the city still maintain control of their employees and vice versa?
The city will have their employees and the county will have their employees.
Okay, so this director won't have direct authority over them as far as hiring, firing, and the like?
Well, no, I guess the board would be able to hire and fire. I mean, if he decided he wanted to fire somebody, he'd have to come to the board.
So the board would be over the employees?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's the reason, that's the reason for the board, yes.
Commissioner Nunnery, you had asked
He
to speak?
answered my question.
Okay.
Do y'all want me to read this since
Commi-
I've already been talking about it and get it over with?
What's
This is, yes, it's completely
So
separate.
when you bring that up, it makes it look like they're tied together.
No, they are not tied together.
Totally separate.
This is totally separate. We'll be brought to y'all in August. So,
I think the question is, Mayor Pafford, they're wondering how many employees the county's going to have to hire.
according to my proposal, 2 people, 2 employees.
Is
And
that
that's for this.
No,
No.
that ain't got nothing to do with
That's
it.
just for the farmer's market.
They asked.
What this is for. This has got parks in it and everything else, but I kind of,
Okay.
I need to,
Let Laura, let them explain this, okay? Let her.
Commissioner King, did you want to say something, or you want to wait for them to explain?
No, because I done forgot what I was gonna say.
Okay. Okay.
Hey, I am Laura Lee Page, and I'm with Community Development Partners, and Maddie's here as well. And hopefully between the 2 of us, we can answer all of your questions as much as possible. So, before we get going,
we have a 5-minute break before we get going.
yeah,
A
that's,
second.
I mean,
Okay. Then we're going to take a 5-minute break.
Get the 5-minute break, and then always takes 10. When have we got to be back in 5 minutes?
Well, make it happen tonight. I thought I was seeing money.
Does this make sense to you? I read through it the day the mayor sent it out. I don't understand that 2 or 3 different things and what's what. I'm not having enough clarity on it. That's what I get. They've got 3 votes, they do.
It's not involved. It's not close enough to like. One said 48,000 something for a I'm saying, we already have a sports complex. This is not the industrial building. This is just the sports complex that we already have in place. And now the farmer's market's in there too. Oh, yeah. To be up here. I was going to volunteer JCF, but I didn't know she was going to want to let it go. I said I was going to volunteer JCF, but Fancy was going to let it go.
Gary, have you got any of your old boat parts left over?
With her.
The rectangular? Sell any of that stuff?
I've got an interest in something for long, further down the road.
Women have been walking their babies for centuries. Nothing's wrong with them. There's something else. She's allergic to That's what I was. The next step was gut wheel. So your mom in love?
Yeah, that's programming. Ronnie's married and it's her programming.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, like, his mom, she hasn't seen it. After surgery. She's wanted to keep it off and she's never shared with us. She keeps getting called in for it. She was
Yeah, I get it, yeah, especially since it'd be different if she was there all the time. Had been there for the
PCS, you know, we had a We know. She like to get your kids celebrate. Yeah, you know, just kind of, hey, we go get this. I know it's in the middle of COVID, but there's 4 of them.
Well, I wouldn't
But
mind
you
that.
have printouts.
Oh, do I? I don't think I saw it. Okay, I got something there.
Yeah, so there's 4
This is all set. Even though she knows. She started texting me, that's what she keeps texting, knowing I'm sitting in here. She's like, can I go ahead and can I go
Area entertainment.
Yeah, and I was nervous, I was like, yeah, that's on the route. Yeah, hold on to the door and we can't even
I was going by this.
Hello, my name is Elvis, and I'm here to sing. Yeah, hello, darling.
Okay, that's all I need. Thank you. Right here.
Teacher's piano, you know. Back in the day, she's working on it. She's going to be in with It is.
I missed it when you
It's bigger. I didn't realize how much I relied on you. I think it's way somewhere.
Thank you.
They're on the way home. Go home.
They're just like.
Well, after that.
I'm probably head over.
What they, what's that word? Is they had to, they want to explain it to me because of
We brought an advocate to my office for us to have a discussion. Brought an advocate.
That's just thick and dirty.
I did look at it on my computer, but I was not going to waste the ink at home to print this thing out.
I looked at it on computers, but I
Right, because it has to be drafted.
don't know what's covered and what.
we have like a timer that buzzes. Me and Beverly make the It's been 10 minutes. It's been 10
I wonder, that vote went just like I said it would. Yeah, for the interim mayor. I had it down pat, I was gonna go. Okay. Attention, please. Okay, you're Laura Page, correct?
Yeah, Laura Lee
Okay,
Page,
Laura
yes,
Lee Page.
all one word. Good and Southern, but all one word. Yeah, so I am here today to present to you guys this master plan that you guys have actually already received the grant for. It's already been paid for. I'm pretty sure most of the invoices have been paid, if not all. And so what we're looking at today is a recap of what this grant has gotten you, which is these 86 pages, I believe. And so it is a compilation of an assessment of your needs based on a variety of factors. So what I handed out to you tonight is just the quick and dirty recommendations that pertain specifically to the county and county-wide, and also summarizes a little bit of the information from the surveys that the survey information that you probably saw in the big packet, and whatnot. So last year, the state approached the mayor about doing a master plan for Parks and Recreation. And so that is Recreation Education Services is the division of TDEC that is funding this. And so they approached counties across the state that are quote unquote distressed counties and giving you guys an opportunity to develop a master plan. And why is that? Well, because one, they're recreation education services, and they feel like it's important that you have a master plan. I personally agree, but also because their grants now require that you have a master plan before you can apply, okay? So in order for Benton County, the city of, or Big Sandy, the city of Camden, in order for them to apply, the county has to have this plan. And so they came to you guys with grant money, and then it was a little bit of match. It was $12,000 total split between y'all and the city of Camden. So y'all have already committed this money, you've already paid for it, for the plan. All we are talking about tonight are these pieces of paper. This is all conceptual. You are not voting on, okay, well, we're going to build a walking track somewhere. We are going to do a farmer's market. Those are completely separate conversations. This just summarizes what the last 7-8 months of research and public input has given us. So does that help clarify it a little bit? Well, I have more, but does that help just so we're all on the same page? You have a question?
Yeah, question on the community engagement. 350 responses, how many did you send out?
Oh, it's all online. It was a link that was posted.
So you don't know, because this is only represents 2% of Benton County population.
But let me tell you, y'all have the biggest turnout of any county we've worked with. So it might seem small, however, people just don't care to complete them. They might comment on Facebook sometimes, with their comments, but then when they're asked to complete something that, their input could really be taken somewhere, a lot of times it's not completed.
I was just going to tell you that it was run in the paper 2 or 3 times, the location on the website where people could go to respond to the survey if they chose to do that. And there were also several public meetings where people could give input in addition to the survey.
And people were able to pick up hard copy surveys at the public meetings. So that's a great segue, thank you. Did I miss anybody over here? Into how this was developed. So there's really 6 main components of input and influence on these plans. First, like you mentioned, is the 350 responses for the surveys. Those are your constituents that have given their input with a variety of questions, all summarized in the main document that you guys have already received. The second is public workshops. Those were also impressively well attended. Even in Big Sandy, we had probably 7 or 8 people outside of the mayor and one of her staff. So for a small community, that's actually pretty good. And then also there were interviews with staff of the communities, and then site evaluations. Those were conducted by Carlson Consulting Engineers and Architects. So they went around and looked at all of your parks throughout the whole county, yours, Big Sandy's, Camden's, and evaluated what their needs are, what the condition is, and then from there, we're able to develop, also including public input, but also we're able to develop these plans based on what they see that could be done with these areas. The 5th thing is benchmark research. So that's where we take information from communities that are benchmarked across the state. So those are similar counties to y'all's in size or into what kind of facilities you guys have. And so we take that data, and then same for the cities. So there's benchmark cities. So we compare with communities in East, Middle, and West Tennessee. And then we also take information from national trends. So those are studies. There's national studies out there that provide information on parks and recreation, and also recommendations for parks and recreation even at the small municipal level. So that's where all the information came from. And what it revealed to us was that the county has a variety of recreational opportunities, and your facilities are in fair to good condition. But where there are updates needed, you should focus on accessibility, not just in general, making sure that your public can access, but also your disabled community can also access. And so that's making sure everything's ADA accessible. The second is that your facilities support county tourism, that you have a reason for people to come to Benton County. And y'all have a great asset of trails along the river and the river itself, which I believe draws people in and of itself, but y'all also have other parks that I think are attractive to tourists. And then the next thing is to address deferred maintenance needs. Make it look good, welcoming, but also bring your facilities up to code. And again, I just want to remind you that these are assessments on your facilities. This is not us saying that by passing this plan, you are doing all of this in this plan. Just disclaimer there. Your community also revealed a desire for water opportunities. They do not want to see that pool in Camden go away. But they also want to see splash pads, trails, and the farmers market / events. They want space for programming and a variety of opportunities, and a farmers market / events center can meet those needs. And then lastly, they expressed a desire for more events and programming opportunities in addition to those places where those things can take place. So that's a quick summary of the surveys and public input that is in.
Answer the 350, or the 350 people is the ones that you're calling today, right?
The people who showed up to the meetings,
Right.
and the people who responded to the surveys, yes.
Okay.
That, again, widely published, advertised. So everybody did have an opportunity to complete them.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
How many people in the focus groups, the town meetings actually had input? The number of people that had input on this plan?
Well, the 350 surveys.
Got that, okay.
The public meetings, and then the county, city officials.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how many were always in your meeting there.
There's an old marketing adage that for every one person who responds to something like this, there's another 10 that agree with them, but won't actually take the time to do it. And that is a standardized, marketing thing. What I like about this is all of this, if you read through it, is listed as recommendations. And if you read through it, you will see words like should, may wish, can. I do not see will or must. So this seems very non-invasive. I mean, there's nothing wrong with adopting a plan saying these are things we would like to do. I don't see any commitment to following all of this through. So if it helps us get a grant and it gives us a direction to go in, I don't see any reason why we wouldn't support it.
Can I ask a follow-on question to yours?
Yes.
If we say no tonight or we postpone it, does that mean we're not getting the money? You said we had the money.
For this, if y'all don't pass this, I don't know what would happen. I imagine the state would come back and want their money back. That would be one thing. But, excuse me, what money? They gave you $48,000.
Let me say, I'm Maddie Cushman, I'm with her, so we're taking time. To answer a little bit of your question, what would happen if you don't pass it tonight? You'll have another chance to answer that part of it when a particular parks and recreation application that you have, if you're the county and the city is looking at applying for, when is that, Laura Lee?
August 3rd.
In August. If you're gonna look at turning something down or waiting, you will have an opportunity in terms of actually applying for real grants. This plan, though, to answer you, if you don't adopt the plan, and if you don't have enough time to adopt the plan before August the 3rd, before the deadline for the current round of parks, and we're only talking about parks and recreation applications, then you're not going to be eligible to apply. This document gives you the opportunity to be eligible to apply for any park and recreation grant opportunity that comes up, whether it's in 21, 2022, and forward, as long as you have a plan that you've adopted. And we call it draft because it's a draft until the board passes a resolution to accept your plan. What can you do with this, though? You can change it. You can change it in a month. You can amend your plan. You can amend your plan in a year. You can amend your plan every 5 years. The state decided 3 years ago, when they started giving communities grants for planning, that every community, county, and city within that county would need a master plan in order to apply for parks and recreation grants through, what do we call it, RES, Recreation Educational Services. So that's why this came about. It's a mandate from the state. They want people to have a plan in place, because as you can guess, we used to run around and get together a little committee right before grant time, and everybody brainstorm and come up with a project to apply for. But they wanted communities to think about it, to assess it, to have a living document that you can use to grow from, to modify from, as opposed to trying to do or not go forward with the plan. So all this is a planning document. When we talk about the funding that you could lose, the state has already funded this. Let us say that again. The state of Tennessee gave you $48,000 with a required match of $12,000 only. And the city and the county agreed to split that amount because normally it's split between the cities and the county within the area of their grid. But you have only, and you're fortunate, and we were fortunate in that you have 2 incorporated cities within Benton County. So all of your city's facilities are covered, and all the county's facilities are covered. This is just a baseline to get you ready to do serious applying for grants in the future. That's all it is.
How many years in the future does that cover?
This is a 10-year master plan, but you can amend it whenever you choose. You can amend your master
So
plan. You
this
can
gives you
change
the
it. You can
opportunity-
even tell us you don't like the cover and change the cover. This is just an example.
So we got 48 grand for coming up with a master plan, so we can pull grants in the future if
So
we
you-
decide to, like
that's
we're
right.
doing. We don't have to pull the grants,
No.
don't have to do nothing, we got a plan now that's good for 10 years for future grants that we want, and we receive $48,000 for it, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
That's it.
I have one other, and I'll shut up. How many commissioners was involved in this document?
I wasn't involved, but I was at one of the workshops.
Okay.
I filled out a survey.
So that means you're involved.
And just for the record, it's property. We had Parks and Recreation come in a couple of years ago on this capital outlay stuff. So we got a little bit of behind the scenes on how some of this does work. This particular document, no, sir, I haven't. We had some of our own meetings the same night that they had some of theirs. But I get the baseline of what this is about.
And I understand, and it's a great concept. I don't like it coming as being force-fed to say, we gotta do this and we got no leeway in passing. We gotta do it by August the 3rd, okay? And I understand it's a plan and it's a draft, but why are we bringing this and saying, you gotta do it by August the 3rd? There should be, when did we start working on this?
December, November.
Okay, and, you know, to me, I think if we're funding it, the taxpayers, we need adequate time to process information than 5 days before a county commission meeting. That's all I'm saying. To me, that doesn't make sense. And that's all I'm gonna say.
Okay. Do we have any other questions?
Let's go to vote.
Yes, Manny Crawford.
48
Um,
days.
Tammy, would you like to say something? You're standing up. If the commission would allow Tammy to speak? Does everyone agree?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I did fill out the survey and I did attend both meetings, and it was a round table discussion, brainstorming of what was needed. I will admit, I haven't heard anything from those meetings, but the meetings themselves were very good meetings, full of information that included, I mean, it was on Facebook, it was in the paper, I believe it was discussed and announced here one night. So they did, and it may have even been in the paper, they tried to get Benton Countyans there, and not many showed up, but I really have an interest in trails and things like that, so I showed up, and it was well done, and everything we said was listened to.
Thank you.
But if I were in your shoes, I would want more than 5 days to have absorbed it, and, you know.
Anyone else asking questions? We're getting, hey, let me say something. We're getting away from asking to speak on your tablet, so I'm having to jump around, and I know there's other people in line first, so if you don't mind, let's go back to your tablet, requesting to speak on your tablet, so we can keep things in order and maybe it'll go faster.
My apologies, that was
No,
going on.
it's okay.
On my end. So let's go through what the recommendations are for Benton County. There's a lot of information in these 87 pages. Great information, great read, but I do understand that it is dense. And so what I've provided you tonight is a short, summary. Here's the big piece, and the big pieces are the recommendations. So there's several sets of recommendations in there. There's one that's general county-wide. It doesn't matter what your jurisdiction is. And then there's another one that's Benton County specific. There's another that's Camden specific, and then there's another that's Big Sandy specific. So what I'll go through with you tonight are the recommendations that are county-wide, and then also Benton County themselves or yourselves. So the first one, county-wide, is safety and security. That's just saying that people talked about how they want more lighting, more access at night, but also want to feel safe. And so several ways that you can do that is lighting, having more staffing, having signage that specifies what your hours are, and also having people there. The more people that are at your parks, the less, and the more eyes that are there to see people doing things they shouldn't be, the more safe people will feel. The next is joint use agreements, which is related to agreements that are formal, kind of like the lease for the softball. It's making sure that everybody knows who's liable and what your responsibility is at the facility. That can also be between the city and the county. That can be between a ball league and what have you. The third recommendation is increased staffing, whether it be in hours, positions, maintenance, coordination, programming, etc. Again, this is not saying that you have to hire people, and it's also not saying how many hours or the number of staff. It's just saying that we recognize that there could be more staffing. The fourth is countywide programming to encourage regular exercise and participation. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. The other ones, and I can go into as much detail as you would like. I'm just summarizing what are on the pieces of paper that you have. For Benton County specifically, our first recommendation is the Benton County Camden's events complex. So that includes the farmers market, the vendor spaces, the event space, splash pad, walking paths. And that one is the one that is currently is your 2020 LPRF pre-application that would be resubmitted on August 3rd. Again, that is a separate conversation, but
Question. reads Benton County Events Complex, it is a separate application that you're asking. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it does read differently as the title of what it's for.
If you'll notice, it's also, which I didn't give you Camden's recommendations, Camden has a separate recommendation. But it's a joint complex, so that's why it has both names in there.
I was under the impression one had to be before the other.
What do you mean?
Farmer's Market.
What do you mean before?
I was under the impression it had to be titled the Farmer's Market prior to being the event complex. Am I saying that correctly? Am I talking about the right structure?
I think we're talking about the same land,
Okay,
but the naming of it does not matter.
thank you.
At least, but if y'all have a preference, please let us know, and that's something we can
We're just
take back.
following the leader. I'm just going by some stuff that I've been working with, and I just want to make sure I understood what you were saying.
So where technicalities of verbiage can be important is that these grants are for parks and recreation. So farmers markets are an interesting recreational activity because they typically do involve a form of recreation, whether it be, being outside or having a place to gather and having community events, or from the economic standpoint. So it straddles that line of recreation and economics. So what we would write in the application is just saying just how recreational this will be. But on another application, that might be more economic development
It can be both.
triggered. It can be both. So we have to be careful about our language sometimes. But farmers markets are one of those that's like it splits that
And
line.
that's some of, you said it, you said the backside of what I've been told, so to speak. So we're saying the same thing.
Mhm.
I'm on one end, you're on the other. So we're saying the same thing.
Yes.
Thank you.
Question.
Yes.
At one point in time, when this grant money was being applied for, my understanding was that it had to be applied for parks and recreation
Correct.
versus farmers market.
So
Laura, they talk about I'm sorry, y'all, but talk about this plan and not get bogged down into their specific projects, because you don't want to get off track with just the planning aspect of this and not confuse the two.
Thank you.
Okay.
she's right. That we're talking about the big overarching farmers market plan that includes splash pads and walking trails, all of which are not involved in the application you were talking about.
This is vision, the division of.
Yes.
Am I saying that right? Division of.
Yes. And then we have the Benton County Sports Complex ball field improvements. That includes adding a 5th ball field, in which planning is already underway for that, and support amenities like shade elements for your bleachers and playgrounds to support the ball fields. Recommendation number 3, I need to step back. These are numbered because that's the easiest way to identify these. The funding agency does want these to be addressed in some semblance of an order. However, that is typically just has to be in the top 50%. And there are ways that we've kind of tried to navigate that and make it as vague as possible to give you guys some leeway as far as the grant itself goes. So when you're seeing these recommendations 1 through 9, just look at them as a big picture and not necessarily this has to be done first, this has to be done second. So then we have, again, at the sports complex, and there are paths and trailheads that are recommended for usefulness of the park, adding to it, as well as connectivity throughout the park. Recommendation number 4 is additional updates to the Benton County Sportsplex. And so that is additional multi-use fields, which I think are also already in planning phase, and that would be for soccer and football. Number 5 is Riverline Trail Blueway access. And that's just suggesting that you guys continue the partnership that you guys have had already in that Riverline Trail and make sure that that continues moving forward because it is important to your community. Number 6, our recommendation is to do another study to determine where trails should be and where connectivity will be possible and kind of help you prioritize those things. Number 7 would be the Patsy Cline Memorial Park stage and restrooms. And we're suggesting stage development for events and programs, bathrooms, improved signage, soil stabilization, that one's a fun one, and fixed video and audio that's already in place there. Number 8 is expand arts and cultural activity programming. That was one that was very important from the public meetings that we heard. People expressed a great desire for non-sports related programming and facilities in which to do that programming. So that's art classes, public gardens, and even the painting walls. I don't know if you've been to Waverly to see those, but that was one that was mentioned. And number 9 is acquisition opportunities. And that one just covers you in case you guys want to acquire any land and do a park project there. But there's some that are already identified, including Stegall's Rest properties. Some acquisition would be good in the Holiday area as well as adjacent to the county fairgrounds. And again, suggesting more public access along the Tennessee River. So again, those are your big picture. These are the recommendations that we gathered from the public input, from the benchmarking comparisons, from national trends. So there's 6 different things that have gone into developing these recommendations. And yes, so again, this is a draft. It has to be draft until your resolution is put in here, but even still, like Maddie said, we can continue revising. If there's anything that you want changed, you know, we're open to hearing about it. So.
Sounds great to me. I'm ready to vote on it.
Any more questions? Okay. Then I think it's time for us to vote on the Parks and Recreation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Patton?
I just want to call for a vote.
Okay. Okay, roll call, or everybody vote.
Rocky Preston.
Yes, I'm gonna vote yes.
Rocky Preston, yes. Anyone wish to change your vote? Motion carries 17 yes.
Okay, number 9 on your agenda is a resolution budgeting funds in the amount of $4,964.18 received from reimbursements for the 2019 CDBG EMA project. We have a motion by Commissioner Dye and a second by Commissioner Ferguson. Commissioner Ferguson?
Yes, budget recommended them, and budget recommended all the other ones, so I'm not going to say it. The only thing I'll say is the stuff that's new money.
Okay. Any questions? Anybody? Okay. You can vote now.
Rocky Preston.
Yes, voting yes.
Anyone wish to change their vote? Rocky Preston was yes. Motion carries 17 yes.
Number 10, a resolution budgeting funds in the amount of $20,158.59 received from insurance recovery money for the airport roof damage. We have a motion by Commissioner Hicks and a second by Commissioner Dye. Any questions? Commissioner Nunnery?
I'm on the insurance board, and although we're certainly fine with spending this, we didn't know anything about any insurance claims on either one of these. We were wondering if maybe the chairman of whatever has an insurance claim, if they would let us know so we can kind of look at what's going on because it can affect our insurance when we have claims.
Okay, does everyone understand that?
I'm on the airport board, I'll try to make y'all be more informed. It's, on the left-hand side facing the runway, the lean-to, or whatever you want to call it, off the main shop, it's leaking, and it has been for a while. I reckon they've got it approved, and the contractor coming to seal the whole thing instead of just where it's leaking. Whole roof.
Okay, any other votes? Okay, roll call, please. Or vote.
Present.
Votes yes.
Anyone wish to change their vote? Motion carries 17 yes.
Number 11, a resolution budgeting funds in the amount of $2,750 received from insurance recovery money for the animal shelter fence damage. We have a motion by Commissioner Melton and a second by Commissioner Hicks. Any questions? Okay, you may vote.
Rocky Preston.
Yes.
Rocky Preston, yes. Anyone wish to change their vote? Motion carries 17 yes.
Number 12, resolution appropriating funds in the amount of $400 from the unassigned fund balance within the county general fund in order to provide a state health employee with a required pay increase determined by the state. This will take a 2/3 vote. So we have a motion by Commissioner Melton and a second by Commissioner Hicks. Any questions about this one? Okay, we'll take a vote.
Rocky Preston.
Yes.
Rocky Preston, yes. Anyone wish to change their vote? 16 yes, 1 no. Norman Frazier. Motion carries.
Okay. Number 13 on the agenda is the resolution approving a continuing budget for the 2021 fiscal year until the passage and approval of the 2021-2022 fiscal year budget. This will also take a 2/3. Any question? Okay. Okay, you can vote, please.
Yes on Rocky's vote.
Thank you. Yes, Rocky Preston. Anyone wish to change their vote? Motion carries 17 yes.
Next is the appointing of notaries. And we have two, Logan Travis Warren and Angela Denise Bannister. I have a motion by Commissioner Hicks and a second by Commissioner Melton. No questions, you may vote now.
Rocky Preston.
Yes.
Rocky Preston, yes. Anyone wish to change their vote? Motion carries 17 yes.
Okay. We're down to number 15, which is any other business. Okay, yeah. We have a special called meeting that we want to remind everyone about. I'm looking on my calendar.
Tuesday, July 27th, public hearing at 5, finishing at 6.
So don't forget that meeting on the 27th at 5 o'clock and then 6 o'clock. Anything else? Okay. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Okay, don't forget to vote for adjourning. Commissioner Hicks made that second.
Rocky votes no.
Can I shut it off now, or do I have to wait? I think that's what I did last time when I said, whatever.
I'm sure glad that I told her not to put any business on here that did not have to be. come before, because we would have been here till 10 o'clock. If we'd had like 20 or 30 resolutions.
No, our people is behind our meters.
I don't think so. It did. Yeah, the new person put it Yeah, oversight. I should have announced that. Got that one too. I didn't write those down in my notes.
Hey, may I have your attention? I forgot to say this, y'all. Tomorrow night, there's an oversight committee meeting. If anyone would like to attend, it's up here at 5 o'clock. The oversight committee.
They have 3 minutes to speak.
Yeah.
Where's this at?
Yes, I'm really. Thank y'all so much. No, that's okay. I'm just so glad y'all were here because we were all confused. We really were.